Alright, so I finished the last one telling you guys about how my mom, kind of got to this, pinnacle or climax, I guess, point where, she really hurt my brother, and then after that, I told her to apologize, she did, and they started working on rebuilding their relationship, finally, after 2 years. I was still in the doghouse, I guess you could say. It was the summer of 2015, right? All of a sudden, the fall of 2016 comes, and my mom starts feeling this, thing in her stomach, and she had been complained about it a year earlier, and then her doctor told her it was a hernia, so she never got it checked. She lost some weight, I think, and then she went back, she gained weight again, because she was fucking so stressed out during this time. I can't tell you guys how stressed out this woman was about me and my brother not talking. Her family, the shit they were giving her and doing to her that was just so fucking unnecessary, unfriending her on Facebook and, just all this bullshit. My mom, she was at her kidney doctor. She had, she had a kidney transplant, so she had to go get a checkup every 6 months. So she goes gets the checkup, and I will never forget this. She calls me up, and she's like, I went to the doctor, whatever his name was. He felt that thing, and he's like, this isn't a hernia. I want you to go get an MRI or CAT scan, whatever, one of those. So she goes and gets a CAT scan, and now this is it's around November of 2015, because it was she calls me up, and she's like, Lee? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you know that thing that, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, I got my MRI results back. I'm like, yeah, so what happened? And I could just tell in her voice it wasn't good. And she's like, they think it's cancer. I'm like, what? And I'm trying to be optimistic about it. Because, what else do you do when somebody tells you that? You're just, I don't know. And she was too. I could tell at first she was trying to be optimistic. But the one thing she said to me, which I'll never forget, was that we found out my dad had cancer in November, right before Thanksgiving, 2005, I think it was. And she's like, I'm gonna die soon. She didn't know what type of cancer or anything it was at this point. We just knew that she had a mass. She had an 8-inch mass on her kidney, on her left native kidney. She had a kidney transplant, so her functioning kidney that was transplanted was in the front. This mass was on her native kidney that was in her body still. And she's like, it's the same thing as Daddy. She was fucking terrified, and I could hear it in her voice. My mom was always my rock and my pillar of strength, and to hear her fucking scared on the phone, it scared the shit out of me. I almost didn't know how to handle it. I just didn't know what to do with the news. I'm like, all right, Mom, it's gonna be okay. Hopefully this. She said that a lot of kidney cancers are treatable. But I hung up that phone that day, and I knew, this isn't good, dude. It's not good. So I made the mistake of going on Google and searching kidney cancer in transplant patients. And I'm reading all these fucking things, and none of them are good. And so, I got in the mindset at that point in time, all right, I don't know what's going to happen. I was really hoping, the doctors were wrong and it wasn't cancer. I don't know. I was in denial, I guess, a little bit. But I knew that there was this possibility that things are going to get bad quick. So that Christmas comes, 2015, and my mom, of course, has to spend her Christmas apart. But she's talking to my brother now. So she made plans to come to my house for Christmas Day, and then the day after, she was going to go to his house. We still had to spend Christmas apart. So she comes to my house, and she's all upset. And you guys don't understand, we didn't see my brother she didn't see him for 3 Christmases now. So she's all upset every Christmas. She's moping. Oh, he didn't call me yet, and this and that. And it's come on, Mom, just put him out of your mind. That Christmas, I knew, something was just off. It just she came to my house that day, and the whole day she was really out of breath. She could not fucking breathe. She would get up and walk to the bathroom, and I could see she wasn't breathing well. We don't know what kind of cancer it is or anything. We just know that it's kidney cancer. I don't know how they were able to tell. It's hard to remember those kind of details from then to now because there's so much shit happened. I think they knew by something in the scan, I guess. I don't know. In my head, though, I had I was in denial, but at the same time, I'm an 8-inch mass. dude, this cancer's huge. Like, this isn't, I don't know. You would think that, like, because my mom found out she had cancer, that my brother would have, like, in his head been like, you know, maybe I should start talking to Leanna now so that, you know, it's like one less thing for my mom to stress about, you know? But that didn't happen. So that Christmas, she's at my house, and she's all out of breath and whatever. I was really worried about her. I remember putting her in the car that night, and I was just like, dude, I am so fucking worried. You know, we were at the house, my husband and me are, like, watching her. She's all out of breath. Like, she can't even get up and go to the bathroom, which is, like, 10 feet away. And she's like, like, really, like, catching, you know, trying to catch her breath. And I was so fucking worried. They had scheduled her surgery at this point for, like, January 10th, I think. So, like, right after Christmas, she was going to get this thing removed, this fucking 8-inch mass. And on Christmas Day, I'm like, do you want me to bring you to the emergency room? And she's like, no, because that's how my mom was. Like, I don't want to ruin anybody's Christmas. And I'm like, Mom, like, it's one fucking Christmas. So what? I'm just in the emergency room. Like, who gives a shit, you know? Little did I know, that was the last Christmas I spent with her. She left my house that night. I was really worried about her. I call her up the next morning before she goes to my brother's house. She still sounds out of breath, but she's, like, of course, trying to downplay it, you know, so I'm trying to tell her, like, just take it easy. I'm all worried about her, dude. I was fucking worried about her nonstop. I worried about my mom 24/7. Even before she had the cancer, I just, like, always worried. Like, if I didn't hear from her, I used to, like, panic, like a fucking, you know, whatever. I just always had this fear of something happening to her, and, like, I don't know. You know, I'm really worried. She's going to my brother's house. I know they're not going to, like, pay attention to, like, you know, how serious, like, her breathing is and everything like that. So I'm like, let me call my aunt. I'm going to ask my aunt what to do. Now, this is my mom's younger sister, who I said we'll call Debbie. She's a couple of years younger than my mom. Not her youngest, but her, you know, younger sister. We used to call them copy and paste, because, like, if my aunt got something, my mom got it. They used to, like, copy each other. They had, like, the same car. You would think they were twins. Like, they fucking had the same everything. I call her up, and she's like, you know, I talked to your mom this morning. She was really out of breath, and I'm really concerned with the cancer and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I mean, it was really, I said, I told her I was worried. And I thought about calling the doctor's emergency line, the doctor that was doing her surgery, to see what he said. So she's like, you know, I would definitely call and blah, blah, blah. So I put in a call, not expecting to hear back from this doctor because it's Christmas. You know, it's the day after Christmas. I'm like, he's probably on fucking in Honolulu or some shit. My mom goes to my brother's house. A half hour later, I get a phone call back from the doctor, and all that doctor said to me was, it sounds like your mom's having a pulmonary embolism. And I didn't need to hear anything more. One of my best friends died from that, 36 years old, and just passed away unexpectedly. I have this, like, severe fear of blood clots. It's like, or aneurysms or anything like that, like an irrational fear. So I called my mom at my brother's house, and I didn't want to, like, disrupt their Christmas, but I'm like, you know, this is kind of a fucking emergency. So I called my mom up, and I'm like, Mom, listen, don't get mad at me. I called the doctor because I'm really concerned about your breathing, because you didn't look good yesterday. I could tell she wasn't feeling good. She wasn't looking good. She wasn't feeling good. And I'm like, you know, listen, I think you need to go to the emergency room. And she's like, oh, you know, whatever, I'll call you back. It's not as bad today. And she's trying to, like, down-talk me. You guys gotta understand, my mom, like, had to walk on eggshells with my brother and his wife, so, like, I honestly think she knew that she had to go to the hospital, but, like, she didn't want to upset them and break the plans and then ruin her chances of, like, you know, seeing her granddaughter for Christmas. Because, like, that would be it. They'd fucking be mad at her, whatever. Like, that's how irrational this shit gets, because when you're dealing with a person like this, that's how you have to think. So my mom was, you know, trying to play it off like she was all good and everything was great, right? So I call her back. You might be having a pulmonary embolism. If you don't go to the fucking emergency room, don't talk to me anymore, because I don't want to talk to you, because you're not fucking taking care of yourself. My mom knows the story about my friend, and as soon as she heard it, I could tell she was like, oh, fuck, you know, let me go to the hospital. Now, she's been at my brother's house at this point in time for, like, 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't know. They let her get in her fucking car, drive to my house. Now, he lives, like, one direction, and I live here. The hospital's, like, between us. You let a fucking person that you now know might be having a pulmonary embolism get in the fucking car from your house, drive to my house so I could take her to the fucking emergency room. And I would have went regardless. If they would have brought her, I would have showed up there. I mean, to my mother. There was one time my mom had to go to the emergency room like earlier, a couple of years back. Like, and then when my dad was sick, my brother and me both were always at the emergency room if our parents had to go to the hospital. Always. He let her fucking drive to my house. I couldn't believe it. I bring her to the emergency room that night. He didn't even fucking call to see if she was okay. Did not call because he's not allowed to talk to me. So he can't call to see if my mom's okay. The next day goes by. Didn't hear from him all day. My mom didn't hear from him. And then I think it was like at 6 o'clock at night the next day that he finally called to check up on her and be like, oh, what happened at the emergency room? So this is how much this fucking asshole gave a shit about my mom while she was sick. Nothing changed for months. So December, whatever, that happens, months goes by. They had to reschedule her surgery because they had to put her on this IVC filter, and it was like this whole big fucking thing. Right before her surgery, like, dude, she was not in good shape. Like, I don't know what it is, because it's so weird. My mom was fine before she found out she had cancer. And then it's like, I think, like, your mind knows that you have cancer. You start to, like, feel, like, the symptoms. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But she started, like, really not doing well. The couple of days before her surgery, she was, like, it was getting bad. You know, she's out of breath all the time, and all this shit's going on, right? And I'm talking to her on FaceTime. We used to FaceTime, like, all the time so she could see, you know, talk to my son. So I'm talking to her on FaceTime, and, like, she's, like, fucking out of breath. She's all fucked up. She's in pain. She started feeling, like, pain in her back. And I was really worried about her again. And I'm like, Mom, you really need to go to the emergency room. And she's, like, yelling at me, Leanna, just fucking leave me alone, you know. This happens, guys. When you're caring for somebody who has cancer, there's a lot of anger. And I understand why. I can't even imagine what was going on in her brain and how she dealt with all this in her head. But she was really fucking angry. She was really in pain. I read all these things because I'm constantly on Google, like, what's this? And why is she feeling this pain and that pain? And I read this thing about these IVC filters. What it is basically they take this little, it almost looks like a naked umbrella. Like, it's like without the fabric. They put it in your artery, and so that if a blood clot were to, you know, dislodge in your legs, let's just say, and travel up to your lungs or your heart, it catches it. But it's literally metal, like this metal fucking thing. And, you know, I had read all these horror stories online about them that, like, they have poked through and poked into people's lungs and backs and all this shit and caused all these problems. She's feeling pain and all this shit, and I'm like, maybe something happened with this filter. So this is, like, I think it was, like, 2 days before her surgery. And I'm like, she was in a lot of pain. I'm on the phone with her, and she's fucking falling asleep while she's talking to me. Like, she just didn't look good. She looked really fucking fucked up and scary. And I'm starting to get really worried about her. So she's getting all mad. I'm trying to get her to go to the emergency room. She was getting the surgery done in a different hospital that was, like, far away from us, like an almost hour drive. So I was like, you know, I'll bring you to that hospital. This way you're there. She, like, just wanted the surgery. She just wanted it, like, that was like, get this cancer thing out of me so I don't have to think about it anymore. She's yelling at me, just let me go to sleep, blah, blah, blah. I call my aunt up. I'm like, I'm so worried about her. Like, she just didn't look good. I screenshot her on the FaceTime app so my aunt could see how bad she looked. You know, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, should I call my brother? Like, I'm alone. You guys have to understand, like, when my dad had cancer, my mom was there. Now it's like my mom has cancer, and I'm fucking lost. I don't have another adult in my life, an older figure, to talk to about this. And, you know, my brother is not talking to me, so it's like, where the fuck do I go for advice? So I tried to get my brother involved. My aunt's like, well, maybe you should text him. I write him a text, explain the whole story. She doesn't look good. She's, like, really bad shape. Instead of answering me back, because he's not allowed to talk to me, he calls my mom up. My mom, who just yelled at me and told me, like, stop, I just want to go to sleep, leave me alone, I'm not going to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. He fucking calls her up, wakes her up, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call from her screaming at me. Why are you calling me? Why are you making a big deal about this? If you do anything to fuck my surgery up, blah, 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 blah. And I know she wasn't mad at me. I'm like, Mom, I just care. I'm worried about you. You don't look good right now. You know, you're complaining about pains and all this shit. And you're falling asleep while I'm talking to you. It's a little worrisome. I'm sorry. Don't, like, get mad at me for being concerned about you. I got so fucking pissed at my brother. Instead of just texting me back or calling me and being like, hey, Leanna, like, what's going on? You have to go and call my mom because you're not allowed to talk to me. Drop the shit. Our mother has cancer. Like, I don't care what happened in the past about dresses and all this other bullshit. Our mother has cancer. Let's just work as a fucking team. That didn't happen, though. We get in this huge fight. My aunt gets in a huge fight with him to the point where he was so nasty to her, she called me up crying, and she's like, I can't believe you talked to me like that. And I'm like, that's him now, with his wife. He has to fucking be an asshole to everybody. He's not allowed to talk to us. What do you people not get? I've been telling you this for 2 years. So he got my mom all upset for no reason. I told him in my text, too, that, like, she's, like, being difficult and doesn't want to go to the hospital. Why did you call her up? Why didn't you call me up? Like, I text you for a reason. I want to talk to you about it. So, like, whatever. My mom goes in to get her surgery. I slept over her house. I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, mind you, I have a son and a husband, too. I had to sleep, and I would have done this regardless, so I'm just putting that out there. Her surgery comes. I sleep over her house. I go to bring her to the hospital the next day. I didn't hear from him the whole fucking day. He didn't come to the hospital. He didn't give a shit. In my eyes. Now, normal, my brother, he would have been there. But he can't. He can't take days off for this. His wife won't allow it. My mom her surgery started at 6 in the morning. He finally calls me up at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Oh, hey, did mom get a room yet? Me and Satan want to send flowers. I'm like, dude, she's fucking out of it. Like, meanwhile, I had been up all day. I was at the hospital for over 12 hours. Who the fuck cares about flowers? Get your ass down here so I can fucking go home and be with my fucking kid and my family. You slept in your nice cozy bed last night while I was sleeping on my mom's couch to wake up at fucking the ass crack of dawn, before the ass crack of dawn, about fucking 3 hours before, and you're fucking worried about flowers? Where the fuck is your head at? She just had fucking major surgery. Like, this was major surgery. They made an incision, 3 incisions. They cut her from her belly button all the way down to her hoo-ha. And he's worried about fucking flowers. That was his first question, was did she get a room? Not how is she. Did she get a room? Because we want to send flowers because his wife has to put the show on that she gives a shit about my mom when they didn't give a shit. They didn't show up. They didn't call her. They didn't ask how she was. They didn't give a fuck. I was like, I gotta get out of here. I left the hospital. I didn't even want to see him at this point because I was gonna fucking punch him in the face. I'm like, how are you're so... And like, my family makes excuses like, oh, he's a man. No, he's not. Before this, and the after meeting his wife, are 2 different people. The before this would have fucking taken off from work and been here all day with me. After this, he's a fucking asshole who only gives a shit about himself. Because he's scared he's going to upset his wife by caring about his fucking mother. I'm going to end this video here. I have to go wait at the bus stop.